Yeah, welcome to our first town hall conversations for District 5400. Trying something out that's new. Thanks for coming along on the ride here while we try something new. I've got this magnet on my refrigerator. It says "Always make new mistakes," and so I haven't made the mistake of doing a recorded Zoom call for Rotary before. So maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll be something interesting. We'll try to do this monthly-ish. It'll depend on when we can get our guests available. And the idea is to shine a light on some of the things that are going on in the district, maybe things that we wouldn't normally hear about, talk to people that we don't normally get to hear from, and also just maybe a different perspective on some things that we do hear about. So, which is kind of what we're doing today. So immediate past is new for you.
Right?
Immediate past district governor, Kathy Buck has agreed to be our first guest. So Kathy, welcome.
Thank you.
Kathy and I are gonna talk here for a little bit, and then we'll open it up for everyone else to ask questions and so forth. Try to keep this, I think about podcasts. I listen to podcasts, and whenever a podcast goes over, say, 45 minutes, I feel like I'm making a big commitment. So I'm going to try to keep it like under 45 minutes. Then, so what we'll do is Kathy and I will talk for 20-ish minutes, maybe less, maybe more, and then we'll open it up and we'll kind of wrap it up, at least the part that we record. So,
okay.
Yeah, Kathy, welcome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
excited.
Here. I can only imagine. I only have a glimpse of it because I'm only 2 weeks in to this, but it's a busy year.
It is a busy year.
Yeah.
A very busy year.
When you're a governor, it's a busy year. And so maybe you've had a moment to take a breath. I don't know. You had, at least it's probably a little better after the conference is done in May, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But since then, when you look back on it now, you catch your breath a little bit, maybe you still will. What surprised you the most about serving as governor?
I think the biggest surprise I had was the welcoming by the Rotarians around the district. You really don't know what they're going to say or what they're going to do when you walk in the room. And I was never so surprised as I was my very first club meeting. There were like 8 club members there. And the president was apologetic, and I said, "Hey, the important people are here. You can't be moaning other people not being there. Just the important people are here." So we had a great meeting. But I think just the fact that people want to succeed as Rotarians, that was what I took away from the entire district. They want to be successful, but their measures of success are different in every club.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. You'll see some clubs that just want to sit back and have coffee and do whatever, and others are in there, beating the bushes for scholarships. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah.
So really different.
And do you think there was any kind of connection with like bigger clubs were a certain way and smaller clubs were a certain way, or anything like that?
I don't know. I think that, of course, I'm from a smaller club, so I'm used to that. So that was easy for me. Larger clubs were a little intimidating. When you have to stand up on a podium in a club and you're going, "Can I just sit down with the group and chat?" So, but we got through it and it was fine. And everyone was so helpful and so congenial. They wanted me to succeed. They wanted their program to succeed. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Well, I know that clubs love you, and they appreciated your visits. And so what along the way, what brought you the greatest joy of those visits when you were visiting with them? Was it, I mean, you had mentioned to me that you didn't deliver the presentation or speech that you prepared, but it was more of a conversation. And I imagine that's where you found a lot of enjoyment. But what else?
That was probably the springboard for a lot of other things, because we could sit down and talk. And in one club we were at, they were all men, and it was like, "Oh, this is fun," but they didn't want to hear anything from me. They wanted me to help them with what they were
Yeah.
going through. So that's what I did, or I tried to. I don't know if I helped, but I tried. And just sit and visit with them, learn about them and learn about their community, learn about what their needs are. They really could care less about Rotary's needs. They have their own needs as a club, and we did our best to meet them. You know, we had, John has a few strings he can pull, so he was able to pull those and help them do some stuff with signage and things in their town. We'd gone to their museum right before we went to the club. We always go somewhere before the club meeting in a small town, and went to the museum, and we walked in and we had our Rotary jackets on, and the lady behind the counter says, "Oh, you're from Rotary." I said, "Oh, are you a Rotarian?" "No, but Rotary did this and Rotary did that." And they redid our entire museum. And she said, "You'll never guess what's downstairs." Now, this lady had no idea that I was in love with trains, not one idea. Walked down the whole bottom floor was trains, all set up for all the Christmas things everywhere.
Oh, wow.
It was incredible. And it was just like, those are moments I'll take away from Rotary. I'll even take away from Rotary from the whole year.
Yeah.
As to how people, even though she knew nothing about me, it was just the magic of Rotary. That's the only thing I can call it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now,
Yeah.
where was that museum?
In Ashton.
In Ashton. Okay.
Yes, Ashton. I remember that because they had made a big sign, a big rock outside the town, because everybody goes through Ashton to go to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
So they wanted a big Rotary thing, so they placed a big rock out there. Well, John and I drove by and said the rock is placed way back, but that was because of city ordinance.
Yeah.
So now what they're trying to do is get a permission to put an American flag right by that rock to draw attention to it. I think that's a great idea. So we did John did a little talking to some people upstairs and hopefully got some help. We haven't gone back, but yeah, that's what's fun, is when you can do something for people and they're really trying and you just want to help them do more.
Yep.
So
I'll go visit him in August and I'll report back on the flag.
I'll probably go visit them when we go back to Driggs.
Yes. Yes. Well, you visited these clubs. It's interesting when we go through governor preparation, which is 30 months of preparation for this.
I know.
We have a lot of meetings where we're talking about membership and priorities and goal setting and all of that. And I think, when you go out, and I know that this will be true for me, and I'm sure it was for you, when you go out, a lot of that stuff is, I won't say out the window, but it's good context for having conversations, but meeting clubs where they are, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They don't want somebody to waltz in and say, you need to do this and this and this and this. And I hated that when I was a club president.
Yeah.
That when the district governor came, and I bless whomever it was, I don't know who they were, I can't remember. They would come in and say, well, you have to do this for the foundation, and you have to do this. And in a lot of clubs, you mention the foundation, and they're going, you're over our heads. We don't know. Sorry, Todd, that really is true. You're over our heads. We don't understand. We want to work in our communities. We really don't. I mean, we'll give you $1, but we don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
And that's true in our clubs. I mean, it happened this year. That was beyond their comprehension of what Rotary was. We tried to introduce it, but we don't know how far we got. Maybe we planted a seed.
Yeah. But when I talked to you, and all along the way, we had periodic meetings, and you would talk about your club visits. And what I heard from you was not about, you never mentioned that before. What I heard from you was just the hope that you found along the way. I mean, Rotary, like all membership organizations, is under some pressure to retain and grow membership. And but what is it that you found along the way that gives you hope for Rotary in our district?
People who care.
Yeah.
Care deeply. There are, and I can't even think of one club that I went to that didn't have somebody that cared about Rotary or cared about growing Rotary. They're not going to run out there and enlist all their neighbors and their dogs, but they'll push it with what they have. And we can't ask more than that. You can't ask someone who doesn't like to speak in public to go make a speech about Rotary. That's not fair. And of course, they do it to us, but then we've gone through 3 years of training, so we're supposed to know how to do that. Before that, I'd call Todd. But it's just, you just have to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
And let them be themselves. We can't change them. Rotary can change them, but we can't.
Yeah.
So just let them be themselves.
When you were visiting clubs, and talking with members, were there any? Did any of those clubs or members change the way you think about Rotary?
Ooh.
Or think about service, or?
I don't know. They changed it. They reinforced it.
Yeah.
They reinforced that service is good. Service is something I need to do. But service is not just sending money overseas or writing a paper for the club. Service is getting on your hands and knees, down in the dirt and working. It's doing what needs to be done. And I live with some people in my own club and around our area that are those kind of people. They jump in with both feet, throw the dirt and whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
No questions asked, because that's what Rotary is. And I think if I learned anything this year, it's kind of a rambled, dismembered description of what is Rotary. It's not just what it says in the book. Yeah. It's not how it says it. It's very nicely worded, but Rotary is out there digging holes and roping cows and doing whatever we need to do. Of course, pardon, I live on a farm, so those things are all familiar to me. Sure. But you have to meet them where they are, not try to take them where you are.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice for me too, as I go out into the district. Yes, out into the wilderness. It's not the wilderness, is it?
No, it's not the wilderness. Too much.
I grew up in Chalice, so it's like going home.
Oh yeah,
for me.
Yeah.
I don't go to a lot of these towns. I'll go to, in fact, a lot of these towns. I remember their athletic teams just soundly beating us in Chalice.
Oh really?
So that's some of the memory.
So will you wear your uniform to their club meetings?
Ashton and Rexburg. Yeah, like I'm not going to wear my uniform.
Go have fun.
Just a nod to their athletic prowess. So looking back on your year, what are some of the things you're most proud of? Maybe something that you accomplished, but also maybe things that you witnessed. Like, what are some of those things? I mean, you had a great conference.
Thank you.
And I'll say I hope that's one of them. But what are some of the things?
I think, oh gosh, man, 10 of them popped in my head when you said that. The first one was probably my appreciation and love for RILA. I mean, I knew it was there. It's been a program forever. I've known about it. Our club would always send a couple kids. We'd give them a check, send them off, and then come back and make a report. And that was my exposure, I guess, to RILA. That's all I had. This year, I went to RILA, and it changed my life. Completely changed my life. And a couple stories, and I don't know what our time is, so I don't want to get too long. Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
One story is I was just watching the groups were doing some activities together. And one of the activities is they had to lift each other up over this probably a 3-foot pole off the ground, lift the person up and put that person on the other side. And I sat there and watched, and I thought, oh, okay. But then I watched a particular young lady who was unfortunately very overweight. And I watched her, I just focused on her, because every time it was time to pick somebody to go over, she'd step to the back, and she'd step to the back. And just watched. I wasn't anywhere where I could say anything. I was behind glass because we were sitting inside and they were outside working in the heat. And so I just watched. And eventually, when it came down, she was the last one that didn't get over the whole pole. 5 of these younger ladies, less physically endowed, came out and said, "Your turn." And she says, "No." And they said, "Oh, yes." So they grabbed her feet, they grabbed her arms, and they put her over the thing. And the look on her face was incredible. That was a big changed for me because I saw kids that will do for other kids things that we as adults won't do for other adults. You know, and the lesson those girls learned and the lesson that young lady learned will last forever, just forever.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And, so Rada really touched my life this year in several ways, but that was probably one of the biggest ones. Other than they gave a big speech last night. They'd gone through this training, and I honestly don't remember what it was. It was so in depth and so difficult to kind of go. Because I've worked with teenagers all my life, and it was like, what are they doing to these kids? Because I worked with middle school. These were high schoolers, so a little bit different. So I was sitting in the back with Doug Rutan, who drives the bus up there. And we were talking, and he says, I said, I just want to listen. So we listened, because I had to speak last. So I had to, after this exercise where we've got kids bawling on the floor, oh, well, here's our district governor with a message for you. So after the nervous wreck, I walked up, I had taken the faithful book that every teenage person who works with teenagers has ever read, 1001 Things You Need to Do with a Teenager, something like that. So I had it in my hand, and I walked up on the stage, and I dropped it on the floor. And I said, you know what, you guys, you know more about what I know about than you know about. So you tell me. And they did. They shared for the next hour. And we had to stop them because it was just, they would just talk about where they were in life, what they're facing, where they want to go, and trying to see how they could get there. And they felt like, right, I helped them meet that. So that, to me, that was the end of that for me.
Yeah.
It was like, it was amazing to be in a position where that could happen.
Yeah.
And watch it change kids' lives.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. I'm looking forward to, I visited, but I haven't seen a lot of Ryla, but this year I'll see a lot more of it.
That's what I was like too. I'd been before, but not like this year.
It's that perfect age where, you know, they're starting to recognize themselves as the captain of their own ship, you know, so to speak, not necessarily a passenger in their parents' home, but someone who has power and influence. And what are they going to do with that?
I know.
And that's a perfect time to touch them. Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, one of the questions that I'm going to ask people this year, when I go on my visits and when I am at service projects and everywhere, is how has Rotary changed you? And I'll preface it because for the folks here who are listening, I think you know, our vision statement is together we see a world where people unite and create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. And those last three words, in ourselves and in ourselves, we don't talk about that as much. We talk about how Rotary changes the world, and we talk about how Rotary changes communities, but how does Rotary change the Rotarian? And so how did Rotary change you as a Rotarian?
Oh, wow. I actually did think about this question. It goes back a ways. I'm not an old Rotarian. I haven't been a Rotarian that long. I laughingly, no, I didn't laughingly, when I was in training and had to do speeches and stuff, the first line of my speech that actually helped me graduate was, the first Rotarian I ever met, I married. And it was true. And so it's been kind of a standing joke within my classmates, as those of you who don't know, Mike has his classmates and I have mine. They're the groups of us that go through the Rotary training together, the 3 years and then the Rotary year. And that, you know, they've all met John and everybody knows John, but that was true. He changed how I thought about life. I'd always been involved with kids, always worked in schools, always done camps and all these kinds of things. But Rotary added a spark that I didn't know. I hadn't heard about, didn't know about. And with his help and the help of my club, I was able to do other things with what I knew to help others. And that's why we're here on earth, is to help others. So it was like, how it changed it's just changed me completely. I used to be pretty centered on my work, you know, and of course, my family. And when my husband passed away several years ago, I had to wake up to the realization that I had to be myself. And I'd always worked with kids. What did I want to do? Am I going to continue this? I'd always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to be somewhere someone might need me for something. You know how that is? You just want to be there. And Rotary gave me that place.
Yeah.
And that's just that's how it is with Rotary. It's just, they don't ever say, well, you can't do that because, or you can't do that because. They always say, why don't you try it?
Yeah.
Try it just once. You might not like it. And there were a couple positions I didn't like very much, but I did them just to get through them, I guess. And the trainings, some of those, you just go, oh my, why do I have to do this? You know, now I know, but it changed it completely.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. Well, let's open this up to the,
oh dear,
to the group,
to the whole group.
Yeah, and see if anybody else has any questions. Yeah, Todd, go
Kathy,
ahead.
so what's next? I know you're going to learn all about polio. What's next for you in Rotary?
Learning about polio right now. Yeah, I don't really have any. Okay, I don't have any aspirations right now. Just learning more about what I've always had. I don't remember. I know you remember, and others too, that the iron lung that we used to have at the district conference. Remember that? That made such an impact on my life that I want to be sure it's not ever needed again. And I've been that way all along, but this is another opportunity to maybe do something more along that line. After that, I don't know. Whatever
and
happens.
For the others in the call, Kathy is the District Polio Plus Chair this year.
Yay.
Thank you, Todd.
All right. Any other questions or thoughts anyone want to share?
Warm in here.
It is getting warm in here.
Yep.
All right. Well,
I just want to thank those of you who, especially, I'm looking at Kristen's name on here because I sent her an email this morning, working with my silly to me. No, they weren't silly. Just different things that I proposed this year with, the +1 club, the clubs of excellence, which is not silly. It's just something we as a district hadn't really even focused on. And then the avenues of service that came to me actually from Norb Murray. He sent me an email one day and he says, would you make out these certificates for these people? And you have to go through this process with RI to do it. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is a beautiful thing to give to people. And it didn't cost us anything. You send their names to RI with their qualifications, and it's basically a check mark and write a sentence. That they look at it, they send it to the district governor. He or she signs the certificate, and gets it back to you to present to the group, or a couple of groups I was able to present them myself. But it's free. I mean, it's just like, it takes some time, but what that means to those people to get a certificate of appreciation for something they do every day, it's crazy that we haven't done it before. So I didn't institute it. It's actually Norb's, but I stole it from him and passed it around. So only a couple other clubs bid into it this year, but I'm hoping more will next year. And the clubs of excellence, it blew my mind when I became district governor to learn only 4 clubs had made those qualifications that year before. And I thought, this is really crazy. We have 40 clubs. We should be all doing it. We can't all do it. After I looked at the qualifications, but we can all try. And we had a lot of clubs try. So that was really great. I think there were 12, I think, that got it this year, 11 or 12. So, and that's just based on what is entered into your club runner, what you put in there and your goals. And if you meet the goals, you need to let them know. And they look at them and say, oh, well, they made 18 of the 18 goals. Of course they got the Club of Excellence. Then we did have one club do that, possibly two. And several other clubs that were real close with 16 out of 16. You only have to do half of them. So I was really proud of that. And the +1 thing is sitting there close. They had a couple clubs. And the fun thing about that contest, I'm just throwing this out there and taking up too much time. The fun thing about that contest was going to the clubs and hearing their thoughts on what was happening and what they were doing. And the contest that was happening between a couple clubs was a little scary, but well, we got 9, well, we got 8. Ours are better than yours, kind of thing. But it was just fun. It was all in fun. And so I'm excited about that. There were quite a few clubs that qualified for +1. There were quite a few that didn't qualify, but I didn't have anybody qualify for -1. So that helped.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think is so interesting, getting to be the driver for the district governor, is listening to all the different speakers at all the different clubs. And sometimes some of those speakers touch your heart. And I can remember a couple times they were there asking for money from the club to think about and maybe donate. And we were at a club where there was a handicapped kid who his
My
sister,
favorite club. I forgot.
his sister was there to try to get money for their bowling team for the year. And that kind of touched us because Kathy and I used to bowl in Emmett, and we had a special needs bowling club that we helped support too. So you just make a donation and you don't think anything about it. And then sometimes some members of their club send you a gift card and thank you for your participation. And it took us way back when somebody does that for you. We feel like, gosh, what do we do with these things? We should give them to the district or do something because but they were really appreciative of us coming in, strangers, not knowing them, and saying, we really want to support this part of this project that this family is here talking about. Because that happened a couple of times where you just wanted to, open your pocketbook and help out some of these families. So, and some of these organizations, and that was really, really, really good to be able to help do that. And just listening to all the different speakers, it's fascinating.
That's great. That's great. Wow. Well, we're going to do this monthly, and for those who didn't make it, we'll have this available in recording. So if I don't have set dates for each of these, but I figure it's more important to get a good time for our guests who can show up. So it'll be roughly middle of each month, and I'll use the district bulletin to announce it, and Facebook, and hope that you all can join and get the word out that these are available. And most importantly, I'd love any ideas for guests that you'd like to hear from. So I am open to suggestions on that. And more to come on that. So thanks for playing along on our first, being our guinea pig for our first one. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here tonight. And we'll just wrap it up from there.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.